Hey Bart, you want to wake up? Bart. Hey. Hey yo, it's over. It's over. It's all over.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Red and Blue Fight Pick Show. Sorry, I just still sleeping from that main event we had to witness on Saturday night. But let's just jump right into it. We're gonna recap UFC 319, Duplessis versus Chimaev, and we started in the flyweight division as Red Ray was spot on with his Joseph Morales pick. Did not give an official play on this, but the breakdown was there. He felt like he was the better fighter on the Ultimate Fighter, and pretty much dominated the fight. Red Ray, any thoughts?
That was good to see. His hands looked a lot better. That was the only thing that had me hesitant about pulling the trigger on a money line. And there was that his hands look Ultimate Fighter, but it seems like all he's been doing is working on his boxing. He looked real good. I was really impressed with his performance. So.
Move up the card. Red Ray was on Diana Barbosa plus 3.5, which came through. I felt like she won the fight outright. Red Ray saw it the other way for Karini Silva, but nonetheless, the play did come through at a minus 150 for Red Ray. We moved up the card as Blue Bart was on Jakar Close plus 3.5, which he did win unanimous decision 29-28. I thought the wrestling was going to be a factor in this fight. He wasn't able to get Barbosa down, but Barbosa just looked old and slow and tired. Not dangerous. Close was landing the bigger shots. Rocked Barbosa a little bit a few times. Thought he won the fight outright. Moving up the card, we were unfortunately on our guy Chase Hooper, who got a little lazy in the final 10 seconds of the first round and got caught with a clean right hand and got dropped. We both felt it was a little bit of a quick stoppage by Jason Herzog. Hooper was not out by any means. He rolled to his back. I just feel like you got to give him more time in that spot. Red Ray.
And yeah, I mean, I just didn't love the game plan. Wasn't shooting any kind of takedowns. I think how many spinning back fists did he throw? 14 in the first round. I mean, it was wild. None of them were even close.
Yeah, the takedowns were from like 10 feet away, and he like came in like a hawk. Like, I'm gonna try to take you down, and that was not his best performance.
Nope.
Moving up the card, we did not give out a play on the Jessica Andrade versus Lupe Godinez. I did say I liked Andrade plus 3.5, which did come through as Lupe got tired, as she historically does, and was taking some of those big looping shots from Andrade in the third round. But Godinez did enough in the first two. Moving up the card, we were all over Mikey O by first round knockout, and that did come through. Yeah, I mean, GM3, like we said, he's a walking punching bag. And he only has a chance if you get tired in the rounds 2 or 3. Mikey O, he's just built different now with the fighting nerds. Moving up the card, we did not give out an official play, but we were leaning on Susakurev, Nolan under 1.5 rounds, which did come through. I missed this fight as I was driving. Red Ray, what were your thoughts?
It was a good fight. I think Nolan came out like the winner in this fight. He was up a weight class, and he looked actually pretty game for the fight. So it looked like he got hurt his knee in the beginning of the second round, and I don't know, the Russian was able to take him down and finish him. But it was a good fight for how long it lasted.
Okay, moving up the card to the main card, as we're going to have some splaining to do here, as Blue Bart was on Kai Asakura alongside the Jakar Close plus 3.5. And unfortunately, he lost to Quasimodo Elliott. It's just truly embarrassing losing to a guy who hasn't fought in over a year and a half, who clearly only has one path to victory of getting you down and submitting you. Kaya Sakura, a huge prospect that signed with the UFC, immediately got a title shot. And his hands just weren't there on Saturday night. Never really connected with a big shot to Elliott at all. started getting tired, got taken down, and tapped to a guillotine with 20 seconds left in the second round. Just truly embarrassing. I think this guy just needs to be cut at this point. I'm sure they won't. I'm sure they're going to give him another shot because he still has a big market in Japan. I can't wait for Tim Elliott to fight again so I can pick him against him again. I put out an open challenge to Tim Elliott and Kaya Sakura. I said I would knock out Tim Elliott and submit Kaya Sakura in back-to-back fights. I'm not going to cut weight. I think that's what makes it fair, and the challenge is still out. Moving up the card, we go to the middleweight division. As Red Ray was on the side of Michael Page, I was leaning to the side of Jared Cannonier. I know I liked him plus 3.5, which did come through, but Cannonier was getting dominated in this fight. He got dropped twice. Were kind of push knockdowns, but the first one was definitely a clean shot. Page was playing with his food though. I don't know. I just don't understand it. I just go for the kill. I mean, it's way more impressive to get a finish than to dance around and try to look cool. And he almost paid the price late in the fight as Cannonier did get him down to control him for basically the entire third round and was beating him up. But Page definitely did enough in the first 2 rounds to win the decision. We move up the card as we were on Carlos Prates, who landed a devastating spinning elbow in the very last second of the first round to knock out Jeff Neal and get the win. That was awesome. Was disappointed in myself that I didn't just parlay the fighting nerds together as I was in the glasses last week. But nonetheless, we were on Prates. Prates is back in the win column after a tough fight against Machado Gary, and now he is red hot. All right, move up the card to Red Ray's pound for pound #1 fighter in the world, Aaron Pico. Oh wait, I'm seeing he lost. Red Ray, what
That must
happened?
be a typo.
Oh no. I remember watching this one now. I'm pretty sure he got absolutely flatlined, and we watched his soul leave his body as Lerone Murphy put him out cold with a KO of the year. Red Ray, any thoughts?
I mean, I texted you before the elbow even happened, and I said he didn't listen to my breakdown because he was shooting takedowns repeatedly. He was dominating the stand-up. He already had rocked Murphy at that point.
Dominating.
Murphy had not landed a shot before then. He had already got rocked, and he was pushed him up against the cage. That's why Murphy was up against the cage, because he had gotten rocked and got pushed back there. And then he decided, which I said not to do, shoot takedowns, because I said Murphy is going to get up. He's going to get up. He did. Took him down again. Said he was going to get up. He got up again. And then he's in the midst of going for another takedown. Hands down. Wild maneuver. Hands down. And Murphy even said wasn't even trying to, like, it wasn't just threw it. Wasn't even planning to hit it. But he literally just ran his face right into Murphy's elbow. Just absolute bottom level IQ, bottom level game planning. Add Jackson Wink on with Fight Ready and anybody from Extreme Couture as absolute fades going forward, because they have no idea what they're doing. They're not getting any better. So tough, because, I mean, Aaron Pico's the better fighter. That was very clear for the first, 2 minutes of the fight. And just
Bro is
unfortunately,
still coping. He's still coping
just
after
doesn't
getting
listen to the Red and Blue Fight Pick show, and decided that he was going to do the exact opposite of what I told him not to do.
I will say Pico was looking good until he got put out cold, but I did think Lerone Murphy was the one that had the better finishing potential, did get the knockout, and most likely is now going to get the title shot, which I am looking forward to. I nearly forgot as I quickly passed through. Red Ray and Blue Bart were on Nasruddin Ruzaboyev, who did not fight. Red Ray? Nursultan. Red Ray, why did he not fight? What happened there?
Well, his opponent actually missed weight by 4 pounds.
Okay, and his opponent is typically a welterweight, is that correct?
That is true, yes.
And this fight was at 185 pounds, and he missed weight by 4 pounds.
So technically he missed weight by 19 pounds.
Bum, 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 bum. Breaking news just announced an hour ago. Brian Battle cut by the UFC after missing weight in back-to-back fights, third time in the promotion. Bye bye. Now, do we think he may have gotten knocked out and dragged out of the cage and cut anyways, had he fought? Yes. Would the punishment affect met the crime? Yes. Does it still meet the crime? Yes. Should be cut. You should not be missing weight up a weight class. This was not a late notice fight or anything like that. Just truly embarrassing. Um, Back to the regional scene. Maybe if he puts a few wins together, they'll bring him back. Move up to the main event of the evening, and this one I just woke up from like 10 minutes ago because it was very boring, in my opinion. Was it dominant? Yes. Chimaev took him down and laid on him the entire fight. He took him down 12 times. He had nearly 22 minutes of control time, landed over 500 strikes, but I'm going to reenact some of those strikes for you guys now. Not affecting me. If you can see, I'm totally fine. I'm not dazed or confused at all. There's nothing fun about watching a guy land pillow punches from 1 inch away over and over and over again. He was not looking for a finish. He did not try to find a submission. Didn't try to strike with him at all. Now it's on Duplessis to get back up and not get taken down over and over again at will. So I mean, it's as much of his fault as he was just choosing to not try to get out of positions to not get submitted. Um, no one saw this coming. There's not a single person that can tell me that they saw that kind of level of domination coming. Um, everyone was feeling like Chimaev was going to be able to take him down and control him and beat him up, but no one thought he was going to be able to do that for 25 straight minutes. No one thought the takedowns were going to come that easily. I mean, Dricus was basically falling over. He would get his hips touched and he was going down. Um, Dricus had a moment at the end of the fight where he landed some good shots and was looking for a submission, but there just wasn't enough time left. There's no reason to run this fight back. Some rumors of it potentially getting run back. There's no reason for it. It was an absolute domination. Um, the Fluffy versus RDR fight got announced. We have the Imavov and Caio Borrello fight coming up in less than a month. I think whoever has the better performance out of those two fights is going to get the title shot. I know Red Ray and I already think Fluffy's going to run through RDR. I think the other fight's closer, but I'm leading Imavov. I don't know where Red Ray's at. But Hamzat, champion. Good job by him. Bad job by me, as I was leaning towards Dricus. The longer the fight went, the more of an advantage I thought he would have. And in my opinion, Hamzat never had to really dig deep into his cardio tank because he was getting the takedown so easily and controlling him so easily. And DDP wasn't trying to get out of position because he was afraid of getting submitted. And so Hamzat never had to use a ton of energy to cause himself to be tired, never had to work for takedowns. And that is why we did not see his gas tank ever become an issue in any way, shape, or form. Red Ray, I had a lot to say there. Any additional thoughts from the main event in
No,
the
not really.
fight of the year?
Yeah, we're pretty much on the same. I mean, he still did gas in the fifth round. I mean, he was definitely. I
Yeah,
mean, he almost got choked out there.
true.
Yeah, I mean, nothing overly. I mean, I did say that Chimaev could win a decision last week. I want that to be
That is
known.
true. That
But
is
I thought it
true.
was going to be. I thought it was just going to be a sloppy stand-up fight for the last three rounds. So I can't take too
Yeah.
much credit there. But yeah, not exciting. But hopefully, Fluffy gets there sooner or later.
Before we break down UFC Fight Night, Walker versus Zhang, we are just announcing that we're going to switch up the format a little bit with the picks. Historically, we've always done the 3 unit, 2 unit, 1 unit combined play. Um, which we spent a lot of time before the show figuring out the picks that we like, and a lot of times we end up kind of forcing the picks just because are trying to give out the same level of picks each week, and it's not working. We continue to lose. We sometimes clash on picks that we both like. A couple weeks ago, I stole a pick from Red Ray that he liked. Last week, he was on a pick that I wanted to give out a pick on the other side, and vice versa. Um, so just going forward, we are going to just give out picks that we feel really good about. We're not going to force any sort of unit size, and we're going to slowly get this train back on the rails and bring it back. So we're going to start in the light heavyweight division as we have Uran. Strap in, everyone. It's going to be a long night of pronunciations. Uran Satybaldiev versus Dair Nurgozhay. Norguzah.
I think you were
One of
close the first time.
one of Red Ray's favorite fighters, Dair
Mhm.
Nurgozhay. I'll do this one. I'll start in this one first. Uran took a fight on short notice against Martin Budai in his debut up a weight class. Now we know the level of dominance that Martin Budai has brought to the heavyweight division before being cut. But Uran striking actually looked pretty solid. He didn't land a ton of strikes. He was having a hard time with the size of Martin Budai as Martin Budai put him up against the cage and was landing a lot of peppering pillow shots. It was just a really big size discrepancy, and he literally took this fight on like 3 days' notice. When they were at range, I thought he actually looked pretty good. He's going to have a little bit of a size and reach advantage over Dair, who just got submitted by a Kimura, and I couldn't tell the last time I saw a Kimura submission in the UFC. He took the guy down, he took Ribeiro down and was controlling him, and then was getting Kimura from top position, and then rolled into a worse spot and got submitted. Another thing I wanted to point out is that Uran only has one submission win in his professional career, and guess what? It came by Kimura. So those of you that are able to find ways of prop bets, like specific submission prop bets, Kimura is probably like 50 to 1. I think it's worth a sprinkle. I am going to lean on the Dair side here because I think he has multiple paths to victory. I do think that he could use some wrestling. And he was able to show good wrestling against Ribeiro until he got submitted from top position. We did see him knock out his opponent on Dana White's Contender Series, who had a very similar size and frame to Uran. I still think this guy is a solid prospect. He is still only 28 years old. A really embarrassing loss his last time out. Not a lock by any means, but our job is to make a pick, and I'm going to pick Dair by decision. And there was no number on that. So I'm not sure what that is, but that's my lean. Red Ray, how do you have it?
Like you said, Uran was a huge weight difference against Budai. I've watched I remember watching his regional tape for that fight. He gets beat up a lot of times in his fight. I mean, like he goes into like absolute wars in his fights. Like that fight that he won by Kimura was literally like a back and forth, just absolute war. And the other guy was just at that point death gas, and he just Kimura'd him. He doesn't really ever like to take the fight to the ground. He'd rather just keep it standing, and just kind of throw hands. So I think this fight most should stay on the feet. I know Dair had some takedowns against Ribeiro, but and I also don't know if he missed weight for that fight. Might have been injured or something because he just looked, that was ridiculous. I mean, Ribeiro's not a very good. He's basically a striker, and yeah, he took him and he got down and got Kimura pretty easily. So Dair also just throws. He seems like he has only throws everything from the one side. All of his stuff comes from the left side. He's a southpaw. So it doesn't really have much of it as far as a jab or anything like that. So I think Uran could just outvalue him with just like getting into a war with him. I'm sure Dair might hurt him at some point. Seems to always get hurt, but I just think Uran will be able to finish. I don't know if he's going to get a finish here, but I think it's going to be a back and forth battle that goes to decision. If Dair's gas tank the like it did against Ribeiro, then second or third round KO there because Uran's he looks like he gasses in the first 3 minutes and then just continues to just fight nonstop. So.
Yeah, the one other note, the line that is out is the over under is 2.5, and it is minus 115 both ways. So the odds makers are expecting this fight to at least get to the third round. Moving up the card, we go to the men's bantamweight division as we have Zhao Long at plus 110 with a comeback on Su Young Yu at minus 130. Red Ray, how do you have it?
I know we talked about this a little bit before the taping here, but I was actually after I taped this, I was pretty surprised by the line. Saw that Zhao Long's a slight underdog here. I thought he'd after watching the tape, I thought he should be almost a 2-1 favorite here. Su Young Yu saw him last time against AJ Cunningham. He was getting beat up in the standing by AJ Cunningham, so that's all you really need to know about his stand up. So that's not great. He plods around and he's very low volume on the feet. He wants to get takedowns and get you to the ground and hold you there. So Zhao Long is going to be the much better striker. We saw him against Kwang Lee last time out. He was getting beaten up a little bit in the first round by Kwang Lee. I wouldn't say getting beaten up, but he was getting tagged just a slight. But Kwang Lee is a much better striker than Su Young Yu, and at once Kwang Lee slowed down just a little bit, Zhao Long just kind of took over him. He's a huge pressure fighter. Saw him against Cheng Ho Lee 2 fights ago. Cheng Ho Lee I think he's on a 3-fight winning streak or something in the UFC right now. He is just a nonstop, like just grabs on you and wants to grapple repeatedly for 3 rounds. Zhao Long was pretty much back and forth in that fight. It was just an absolute war. Could have gone either way at the end of the fight. So I don't think Su Young Yu is going to do anything that Cheng Ho Lee's didn't do. And I think if they stand up for longer, I think Zhao Long is going to land the bigger shots and will definitely throw the more shots. I mean, Su Young Yu, if he, I don't know what his numbers is. What is it here? Yeah, he lands 1.88 strikes per minute. So compared to Zhao Long lands 5.4. So just a wild difference in the volume on the feet. So, and I think Zhao Long, he might get taken down, but I think he's just going to get back up. So I don't know if they either get a finish. I think if one person does get a finish, it's definitely going to be Zhao Long, but I'm going to take Zhao Long by decision here.
Yeah, I love Zhao Long in this matchup. I love this number. I think this is a great play. I do think if we were still giving out the red and blue picks, this might even be a 3-unit play. I'm very confident in Zhao Long in this matchup. I think that the 2 guys he's fought so far in the UFC are better than Su Young Yu. Su Young Yu is basically a pure grappler, jiu-jitsu guy. We saw Zhao Long in his title fight for the road to the UFC against Chung Young Lee. Chung Young Lee looked really, really good in his last fight. I think he's a better grappler than Sung Young Yu. And Zhao Long went to a very close split decision where he was out grappling Chung Yu Lee in that fight. He is a striker. He can grapple though. He can wrestle. He can defensively grapple. He's going to be landing way more strikes, as you just pointed out. He's going to be doing way more damage. He has been TKO'd before, but it's been a very long time. A couple of those TKOs were injuries. So the chin is good, and his opponent doesn't throw a lot of strikes anyways. I love the spot for Zhao Long. I want to see the finish only line is not out yet. That's something I'm really interested in. And also, I don't know if this fight is first or if the Dair fight is first. ESPN is showing Dair fight first. DraftKings is showing Zhao Long fight first. And for those of you that are getting up at 3 a.m. to watch the start of this card, keeping that in mind, this card does start at 3 a.m. because it is in China. You're going to want to take a look at the x.com/R&B fight picks on Friday to get your picks in case you are not getting up at 3 a.m. Moving up the card, we go to the men's featherweight division as we have Yizha minus 1200 with the comeback on Weston Wilson at plus 700. I think this line is very wide for this fight because I don't think either of these guys are very good. I know Weston Wilson's not good. He has been finished by TKO 3 times. He's been submitted 4 times. He is a submission guy. Um, 12 of his 17 wins are by submission. We did just see him get a submission win in his last fight in the UFC. Um, has been in there with some really tough guys. This guy he's fighting isn't the toughest guy. He's also a submission guy. Striking is not good. This is a pretty low level UFC fight to me. I think there's an opportunity for Weston Wilson to actually get a first round submission. I don't know if I looked at the line on that. Red Ray, did you get a line on that by chance?
No, I can check right real quick.
Weston Wilson by first round submission, 20-1. That is worth the sprinkle. That is definitely worth the sprinkle. That's his only path to victory. I do think the longer the fight goes, it will favor Yizha. He is a guy that will look for 20 takedowns a fight. I think he's going to have the better cardio. Um, I think his striking will be better. Not that there's a big level to be better than, but this is not a fight that I'm going to be giving out a play on other than maybe a zero point 0.1 unit on Weston Wilson by first round submission. Red Ray, how do you have it?
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna fade Weston Wilson, you'd kind of want to fade him against a guy that's a big striker, like and has like some grappling, like who he lost to previously. Like obviously, I mean, Gene Silva and Joinders and Brito are obviously like one of the two of the biggest hitters in the division. But even Jekka was a bigger hitter, but I mean, he just has no idea what he's doing in the fight. But you kind of just don't. I mean, like to just fade him like a plus, like he has plus 700 against a guy who is not a big hitter. Yizha is 25-5 only, and he only has 5 KO wins. So 14 is mostly he's a grappler. So you're just hoping that he submits Weston Wilson, which is obviously possible. Weston Wilson has been submitted 4 times. The last time I think he was submitted was 2021. So that was, I mean, so we're almost 5 years ago, 4 years ago at this point. I don't know. I think there's a possibility here if this does thing, if they get into a grappling thing. I think the over is plus 135. I think that's live. I like that. I just also, Bart, if you could guess, how many fights do you think that Weston Wilson has been in that he has not gotten out of the first round in a row?
12.
It's actually 14
Oh.
straight fights where he has not gotten out of the first round. Last time he went past the first round, he lost a decision to the great Bobby King, not to be confused with King Green, Bobby Green. But so that was all the way back in 2019. So it has been 6 years since he has seen the second round of a fight. He's 10-4 in that time. But yeah, I think I just don't know how anybody could put any number on Yizha here. It's just a crazy number. He's not that good. He's a grappler. He's not gonna. I doubt he's gonna knock out Weston Wilson. I think it's gonna be a grappling match. Both guys are live for sub. I think fight ends in sub is minus 200. But yeah, I'm leaning to take the shot on the plus money over here.
I was laughing because I was looking at Weston Wilson's fight history and the 4 submission losses. He got submitted uh, by a Gogo Plata at one
Yeah, I
point.
did see that too. Yes.
For those of you that don't know, Gogo Plata is when you basically put your foot on the Adam's apple of your opponent on the ground, and then you're pulling on the back of their head. Um, it's very hard submission to get to pull off in a pro MMA fight, but Weston Wilson found a way to tap to it. Yeah, the one other note I wanted to say is that Weston Wilson is 6'1" versus the 5'7" uh, Yizha. So that'll be something to keep an eye out for. Let's move up the card to the middleweight division as we have Michel Pereira at minus 260 taking on the coming back surging Kyle Daukaus in his return fight to the UFC. taking this fight on short notice at plus 210. Red Ray, how do you have it?
I guess if you're gonna take away all narratives in this fight and just go by who's the better fighter, I think Michelle Pereira probably should be a minus 1,000 in here. He's probably better everywhere. Kyle Daukaus is a one as a welterweight. That is, I mean, he should be a welterweight. He fights at middleweight, but you look at his body, and he obviously should be either a much more muscular middleweight, or should just go down to welterweight. It looks ridiculous, but like you said, he has four in a row in the regional scene since getting back-to-back finishes by Eric Anders and Dolidze. But I mean, one of them, the Greg Ellis fight, he won by decision. Greg Ellis almost finished him in the third round of that fight, so that wasn't a good look. Greg Ellis is 8-5 now, I believe, so that's not amazing. He had a decent run in the UFC before he got cut. He had a win over Dustin Solsfoots. He had a win over. He had a submission win over Jamie Pickett. Most of his wins are to like decent guys: Brendan Allen, Phil Hawes, Roman Dolidze, Eric Anders. So it's not like he's losing to bottom level guys. But I would say Michelle Pereira is probably skill wise up with the guys that he's losing. But I don't know if you could have any faith in Michelle Pereira after the last fight against Abus. I mean, the Anthony Hernandez fight is one thing. You kind of thought maybe at 185 his cardio was a little bit better, but clearly it wasn't. But it wasn't like he ever gave up in that fight. I mean, he gassed out probably mid-second round, but he was still like always trying to battle. It wasn't like he was just laying down in the fight, like and just giving up and letting Anthony Hernandez finish him. Ended up the ref just stopped it. I don't even think it probably was a real finish. He just was like, you've been getting beat on for the last 3 rounds, so we're just going to call it here. But the Abus fight, he came out, he tried to do his dance thing at the beginning. He was half-assed in the dance thing. He
Good
came
show.
out, threw out like 4 punches for 3 rounds. He looked like he was drunk. I know before that, he was going through, he was outed for having his side piece at the Apex the fight before. So, I mean, it's just hard to know, like, where's his head at this point. I don't think he's ever come out and said, like, why he looked like garbage against Abus, which he should have. I mean, he should have finished Abus. So, yeah, should he spark Kyle Daukaus in the first 30 seconds of this fight? Yeah. Will he throw a punch more than 40% power? I don't know. Also, red flag, I found out that I think maybe before the Pereira fight, but at least before the Hernandez fight, he now trains at Extreme Couture, which might be the whole reason why he looked like he did at like Abus. So he's still training at Extreme Couture, so this might be an ongoing saga. So you might just off of just vibes, just throw a little bit, sprinkle the Kyle Daukaus here by decision. I don't think he's going to finish Pereira, but yeah, I guess I'll pick Pereira, but I am 0% confidence. Won't be making a bet on this, so I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I'm much more confident in Pereira. Daukaus has taken this fight on short notice. He's basically a pure submission guy. I think we need to see the old Pereira, the crazy Pereira. He was able to defend most of the takedowns against Abus. Abus only landed 1 of 4, and only had 1 minute of control. That is Daukaus' path to victory, is to get this fight down to the ground and find some sort of submission. Pereira, not the easiest guy to submit. Um, Way more explosive striker. I do think Pereira is going to knock out Daukaus. I'm pretty confident in that. The play is plus 145 is the number on that. Pereira needs to get back in the win column. I think he's going to throw caution in the wind. Try to overwhelm Daukaus. I do think he's going to catch him with one of those strikes. Respectfully, the Daukaus family chin is made of glass, unfortunately. Daukaus doesn't need this win as much. He's taking this fight on short notice. I'm quite sure they'll give him another opportunity, regardless of the outcome in this fight. Pereira needs to get back in the win column. I like Pereira a lot in this spot. Moving up the card of the lightweight division, we have Rongzhu at minus 260 With the comeback on Austin Hubbard at plus 210. Start on the Rongzhu side here. He is training at City Kickboxing with the likes of Izzy Adesanya, Dan Hooker, Carlos Alberg, all those guys out there. Looked really good in his last fight. I thought he looked much improved in his last fight against Cody Steele. He was a pretty decent sized underdog against Cody Steele. Cody Steele was a big prospect after his performance on the Contender Series, known for his wrestling. And Rongzhu was able to defend majority of the takedowns. Steele had a very poor fight IQ in that fight. I will say he was trying to outstrike Rongzhu and was just getting lit up on the feet. I really liked what I saw from Rongzhu in that last fight. I was really impressed with his striking. I'm not overly impressed with Austin Hubbard's career. To me, he is on the back end of his career. He's 33 years old. He's a bit of a point fighter, doesn't throw a ton of volume, has a decent wrestling, but not dominant enough to control you the entire fight. Has been going to a lot of really close decisions, was on the losing side of two back-to-back split decisions. I think Hubbard's path to victory is to use that wrestling. I just don't know if it's gonna get him through the entire fight. And the way we saw Rongzhu defend the takedowns against Cody Steele, who is a better wrestler than Hubbard, I think he's going to be fine in that aspect. I do like Rongzhu quite a bit in this matchup. Hubbard historically is very durable, so I do like Rongzhu by decision at minus 125. Red Ray, how do you have it?
I'm not as high in Rongzhu as you are, and I don't think Hubbard sucks as much as you do. Cody Steele, literally last fight. I mean, you said he stuffed a lot of takedowns. He only shot 4 takedowns. 3 of them were in the first round, and then shot 1 takedown after that. So and then Cody Steele's just an absolute. I mean, he's a grappler. He's not a striker. I think he thought because he got a KO on the Contender Series by a body shot that he was now he had learned how to strike. So, but he's plodding. He doesn't really have much foot movement or anything. I mean, Austin Hubbard's not a powerful striker, but I mean, we've seen it time and time again. I mean, he just goes to, I mean, he makes fights close no matter what they are, who he's facing. I mean, he fought Markel Medeiros last time out. He arguably could have won that fight. Fight before that, he basically did a stand-up fight with Alex Hernandez for 3 rounds, and it was a split decision. It was very competitive. Same with Michael Figlak, who's a pure striker. He was able to make that fight. He won that by decision. So, I mean, is he winning a lot of fights? No, I mean, is he winning a ton of fights? No, but everything he fights is very close. We saw Rongzhu, he landed 120 strikes last time. It's only the second time he's ever landed that many strikes, and nobody's landed over 90 against Hubbard in the fights, just because he isn't going to be like Cody Steele. He's not going to just shoot 2 takedowns. He'll repeatedly shoot takedowns. He'll get in the clinch. He'll make it weird and close. So I think Rongzhu will probably land more strikes on the feet. If he can't keep it standing, he's probably going to land the better strikes, the more like meaningful to the judges' strikes. But it is it's in China, that's right. I don't know if they have the big cage or the little cage there, so I would assume the big cage. So
I think so.
yeah, so I would give Rongzhu a better chance of just moving around and being free of all clinching and what Hubbard wants to do to really just clog up the fight. So I'll take Rongzhu by decision, or I mean, say by decision here. Hubbard's only been submitted in his career, never been knocked out. So Rongzhu doesn't want to go on the ground with him. So yeah, I got Rongzhu by decision, but I think the Hubbard +3 is a safe play. I think he's going to probably just clog up and win 1 round by just clinching and maybe get a takedown, get some control time on the ground. So.
All right, let's move up the card. Go to the flyweight division as we have Charles Johnson at plus 170 with the comeback on Loner. Kavanagh at minus 200. Red Ray, how do you have it?
This should be a good matchup. Charles Johnson's coming off that loss to who's it? This guy just got it. Ramazan Temirov, which I thought he might have won. Temirov he was landing more strikes. Just Temirov was landing probably the more powerful strikes. And then we found out Temirov was juicing, so it could have been a reason for that, why he all of a sudden had 3 rounds of cardio when every single other fight gasses in the second round. So he's coming off that. He had a win against Sumudaerji the fight before that, which I'll be honest, I didn't think he looked great. I think he should have gotten the second round finish there. Any other ref would have called the fight there, but he did kind of slow down. His cardio didn't look great. And the fight before that, he had the KO win over Josh Van, which is still one of the most mind-boggling finishes of all time. So before that, yeah, so he was on a four-fight winning streak before the Temerov fight. So I feel like this is kind of a step up in competition for him. I think Temerov's kind of mid-level, so I think they kind of realized that because Temerov cheated, that it could have been kind of a win there. Kavanagh's coming off; he's got 3 wins. He's 3-0 in the UFC so far, 2-0 if you don't count the Contender Series. He had a win against Jose Ochoa, which at the time didn't look very good because it kind of was a real boring fight. But we've seen Ochoa since, and he's looked really good in his 2 fights since then. So he was able to, for the most part, handle Ochoa in the stand-up. It was pretty close, but he seemed to land the bigger shots there. Against Felipe dos Santos, who I think is cut now, but he showed off his grappling there and was able to win the stand-up a little bit there, but mainly was just grappling. I think it's going to be a closer just because if you look at any of the fights, Kavanagh's kind of very low volume. Most he's landed in 2 straight decisions in the UFC is 58 strikes. Charles Johnson is going to throw 125 strikes in the first round, so he just throws nonstop strikes. I think Kavanagh's going to have to grapple here if he's going to try to have to slow down Charles Johnson. You just never know. I think Charles Johnson is just so inconsistent. Sometimes he looks like he could go 15 rounds, and sometimes he looks like he gasses mid-second round. So I think Kavanagh's going to land the better shots. He's going to look better on the feet. But like with Josh Van, sometimes guys just don't handle pressure well. And there's just Charles Johnson's able to sneak into where they are just so confused by the fact that he just keeps walking forward and walking through all their shots that he then all of a sudden gets a knockout over the guy who's going to fight for the title here in a couple of months. So I'm going to lean Kavanagh just because I think he's going to land the bigger shots. But this is another where I think a +3.5 is alive. I don't think either guys are going to finish the other. And I think Charles Johnson could easily outvolume Kavanagh in any of the rounds. So yeah, slight lean on Kavanagh, but if I was to bet anything, it would be Charles Johnson +3.5.
Now we know historically Charles Johnson is a multi-time dumbest haircut winner of the year. Just loves coming in with a really dumb haircut. Kavanagh is going to have a huge advantage in the haircut matchup. Not only that, but he's going to have a huge advantage in this fight. Loner Kavanagh, 26 years old. He is a huge prospect in the flyweight division. If you may have seen the article or heard it, Ilya Topuria spoke volume of Loner Kavanagh on the Joe Rogan show. There's a clip of Ilya Topuria just giving Loner Kavanagh credit for his future in the sport. I listened to the John Anik and Kenny Florian podcast. Kenny Florian says he thinks Loner Kavanagh can be a future champion. I've always hated Charles Johnson. I think he's overrated. I think he's gotten lucky in a lot of these wins. I don't know how he pulls it off. I think Loner Kavanagh should be even a bigger favorite than -200. I do think he's going to take him down and beat him up. I think he's going to put out a coming out performance in this fight. I do think that Jose Ochoa is very, very good. And I think that he's better than Charles Johnson. If he was fighting Charles Johnson, I would pick Ochoa over him. We saw a somewhat competitive fight against Felipe dos Santos, even though you pointed out he did get cut. He's only 24 years old. I think he'll be back in the UFC one day. I think Loner Kavanagh is going to get the takedowns and beat up Charles Johnson. Johnson historically has never been finished, so we'll give him the credit there. I like Loner Kavanagh by a dominant decision win at minus 125. Moving up the card, we go to the lightweight division as we have Maheshate at -105 with a comeback on Gage Young at -115. I am leaning Gage Young in this fight. I thought he looked actually pretty good in his last fight, even though he lost 27 30-27 across all three judges' scorecards. We also saw him on the Contenders Series against Quillian Saukalid, who we know is a dominant grappler. Gage Young, only 25 years old. I do think he is a solid fighter. I haven't really been impressed with Maheshate. We saw him get finished by one of Red Race fighters, Borhashev, Slavaklaus, who I don't think is very good. We also saw him just lose a decision to Nicholas Mata, who I also don't think is the greatest. Won a split decision over Gabriel Benitez, who is not in the UFC anymore and is not really UFC level with a 23-13 record. You should be able to finish a guy like that. I'm going to lean Gage Young. I'll probably sprinkle on him personally. Not going to be a pick for me by any means. But I like Gage Young by decision at plus 240. Red Ray, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, we're on the lines here. I thought Gage Young, while he's 0-2, now he lost his Contender Series fight and then against Evan Elder. I think he's shown pretty well in each fight. He hasn't gotten embarrassed. Both were UDs, but Sal Kid took him down 9 times. He just got kind of out grappled there. But so we've seen Sal Kid since. He's been pretty dominant in the UFC so far. And I just thought Evan Elder was a bad matchup for him. I think he's like a poor man's Evan Elder. So facing the better version of yourself isn't a great matchup. And he was still, I mean, he landed 81 significant strikes. Evan Elder just had more volume and landed more strikes again there. Wasn't knocked down or anything. I think he was probably cut up a little bit, but it was just a kind of a back and forth fight, and he just kind of didn't have the same amount of volume as Evan Elder did. Maheshate has been pretty underwhelming, and I mean, he has the big win over Steve Garcia, but that was at 145, where Steve Garcia was kind of chinny at that point. I think if he fights Steve Garcia now at 155, he probably gets knocked out in less than a round. Like you said, he got knocked out by Borjas. He was finished the second round there. Against Moto last time, he lost by decision, but he was dropped twice. I don't think his chin's very good. He's a striker that's, like I said, he doesn't want to grapple, so he's a striker that has a bad chin and loses against other strikers. So even the Benitez fight, like you said, Benitez at a UFC level, that went to split. So I just think Gage Young, he's a younger guy. I think he might need. It would be useful if he like threw anything other than if he punched, or I mean if he threw any kind of kicks or anything. He is really just a boxer, which I guess I think could still get it done in this fight. But it'd be nice if he expanded his game a little bit. But yeah, I mean he could probably even get takedowns if he wanted to. He hasn't shot in the UFC, but I think he could probably get Maheshate down if he get some control time against him. I know Rafa Garcia got him down 6 times, so yeah, doesn't have much wrestling there either. So yeah, I got Gage Young. I think he could finish this, but I'm going to probably just lean towards decision here.
Okay, let's move up the card. Go to the main card. So for those of you that are waking up at 6 a.m. for the main card, the first fight you're going to witness is a welterweight matchup between the debuting Ta Yi Lake Nueraji at minus 500 with a comeback on the returning Kiefer Crosbie at plus 350. I'm going to pass this over to my Nueraji expert, Red Ray. How do you have it?
I think I don't know how to say his first name. I think the last name is Nurgozhay, if I heard it right on the
his nickname is Super Saiyan. Let's stick with that.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, he's big for the weight class. He's 6'2", welterweight. He's only 24 years old. He's already got 12 fights. Most of his fights, I think all of his fights are KOs, except he has 1 submission. He's never been a decision. He is literally just when he's standing, he just throws. I wouldn't say he's very technical, but you can tell he isn't like he's not a bad striker. It's just kind of, he just throws so much that it's just like some of the stuff looks kind of sloppy, but everything is coming out the way it's supposed to come out. He'll mix in power shots to it and light, and just like he'll feel you. He'll just go body kick, but it doesn't look like he's got a lot into it. But he doesn't really grapple much. He did at his last fight against, or 2 fights ago against Maxim Shimchenko in M1 Global. He's a Russian guy over there. He beat him up on the feet, was able to hurt him, dropped him, got in his guard. He was ground and pound, looked nasty. Ended up getting on, and he was throwing a bunch of elbows, a lot of huge haymakers um, in the ground and pound. Maybe Chimaev could maybe take a lesson or two on how to do some hard strikes on the ground from him. But he was able to slip. I think it was so fast. He was in like side mount, and then just flipped over into a armbar. Like, I mean, it looked like he could have been a black belt. It was that locked in. I mean, he didn't even fully extend. It was so tight. He just kind of leaned back a little bit, and Shimchenko tapped. So his ground game looks like it's solid as far as from what I could see. And I think that's the only fight that I know that he like went to the ground. On the other side, he's got Kiefer Crosbie. Who knows what this guy's good at? He's an okay boxer, I guess. He shouldn't be in the UFC. He's gonna be the much smaller guy here. He's 5'11". He fights out of another terrible gym, SBG Ireland, who just go off of the fact that Conor McGregor was there, but they have nobody else that's any good out of that camp. We've seen him twice in the UFC. He got rear naked choked by Kevin Jousset, who's been cut. He thought it would be a good idea to try to judo throw Kevin Jousset in that fight. Kevin Jousset's a world champion judo guy, so that's showing low IQ there. And then last fight against Sam Patterson, another guy, he looked like he was lost in the feet. Sam Patterson's as tall as Nurgozhay, so he doesn't look like he handles height or length very well. Sam Patterson took him down to the ground and literally where they were on the ground for 17 seconds, and he submitted him with arm triangle. So I think Nurgozhay, I don't know if it looks like Crosbie is halfway tough standing up. I think he's only been KO'd once, and that's not the same. I was going to say he got a legal knee by Mike Jackson. I thought it was the Mike Jackson that fought CM Punk, but it's a different Mike Jackson. Yeah, he's only been TKO'd once. It was a doctor stoppage, so he's never really been knocked out. I think Nurgozhay probably hurts him at some point though during the fight, and if it goes to the ground, I think the sub is live. It's a plus 500 on DraftKings. I think Bart said he saw it at plus 700 on Bet Online. Kiefer Crosbie is below a white belt on the ground, so if Nurgozhay gets him to the ground, he could easily submit him. So I think that's a live bet there that you can sprinkle.
Yeah, here's what I'll say. I've seen Kiefer Crosbie get taken down in both fights on only one takedown attempt and get submitted in the first round. He's 35 years old. They're putting him on the main card in the opener in China against a 24-year-old who is finished all of his fights, did get TKO'd in the third round against a guy named Ding Ming, who was on the Contender Series last year. So that guy's actually, pretty serviceable. The Super Saiyan is 24 years old. He's going to be much bigger. And Kiefer Crosbie's just been terrible so far in the UFC. I think they're making this a showcase fight for the Super Saiyan as the opener in China. I'm going to pick him by first round submission just because that's been the path against Kiefer Crosbie. We have seen Kiefer Crosbie lose by a doctor stoppage by a TKO. So we've never seen him get knocked out. I just think there's a clear path. You should just take it when it's right there. I think he's going to get a finish. I do think it's going to be that submission. I think that's a good number. Super Saiyan by submission. Moving up the card, we go to the flyweight division as we have Sumudaerji at minus 180 with a comeback on Kevin Borjas, one of Red Ray's favorite fighters. I'm going to start on the Sumudaerji side here. We've seen him struggle with the grapplers in the past as he has been submitted 6 times in his career, 3 times in the UFC. One to the great Matt Schnell, did get submitted by the loser Tim Elliott. Also submitted by Luis Smolka back in the day. Sumudaerji, though, looked pretty solid in his last fight, was able to defend all the takedowns from Mitch Raposi, who attempted 19, never was able to really control him. Sumudaerji landed way more strikes. His striking is pretty solid. Comes in with the knee sleeves sometimes. Is a bit of a sniper, rangy guy. Borjas 2-2 so far in the UFC. Did go to a decision against Joshua Van. Um, did finally get a win in his last fight where he did look much improved over Ronaldo Rodriguez. I do know that was a red versus blue as I was on Rodriguez in that fight over Borjas. I don't feel confident either way in this fight. I am leaning Sumudaerji just because he has done well historically when he is fighting another striker, and Borjas is not someone who's going to try to take him down. Um, yeah, I don't feel good about this fight either way. I'm staying away from this. Red Ray, how do you have it?
Yeah, I'm on the Borjas side here. I just think Borjas has the better volume. We've seen Medarji. It seemed like the last two fights, I would say maybe the last three. I mean, he's coming out there with knee sleeves. He's got a knee. I know he got a knee injury a while back. Now he's got knee sleeves. He kind of didn't look great against Charles Johnson. He should have been. I mean, it went to decision. He got knocked out in the second round. He was literally hit. I mean, I think Johnson landed about 35 straight against the cage. Very frustrating because I had Charles Johnson around 2-3 there. But I mean, he just kind of wants to sit on the outside. Last fight, he fought Mitroposo. Mitroposo doesn't really want to fight anymore. It doesn't look like. I mean, it was 6 of 19 takedowns he had to defend. I mean, it looks like the one thing that he is getting better on is this grappling. Obviously, that was his main weakness. He was submitted a lot early in his career. Last two fights, he's been facing guys that have been wanting to grapple him, and he's been able to stuff most of the takedowns and stay safe. And it looked like against Charles Johnson, he even threatened submissions there. But I don't think this fight's going to the ground. Borjas has neither of these guys have shot a takedown. Borjas wants to keep it standing. So does Sue. But I know people think Sumudaerji is some big striker, big heavy striker. He has, I think, two UFC knockdowns, one finish. That was against Malcolm Gordon. Everybody finished Malcolm Gordon. That was the fun of facing Malcolm Gordon because he would get finished immediately. And the other one was against Matt Schnell, and that was one of the wild fights of all time. But so I don't really think he's got much power in his hands. Going against Borjas coming off that win against Rodriguez, probably should have won that fight by finish. He knocked down Rodriguez twice. Rodriguez is an actual warrior out there, and he was 17-2 coming in that fight. I mean, he's got a rock hard chin. He's been finished twice on only finish. I mean, he took 156 shots from Josh Van, didn't get finished in that fight. He got TKO'd by Acosta, but that was by leg kicks mainly. I mean, it's a TKO by punches, but I think he fell over because of his leg kicks and then just got pounded out on the ground. But I just think that he's throwing 83 strikes, 75, 87. The only against Costa was the only time he went below 75. Sumudaerji hasn't gone over. I mean, he had 75 against Charles Johnson. Besides that, the only other time he went over that was he had 93 in his second fight in the UFC, which is 6 years ago. So I think this is going to be stand up. I think both guys are live here to. Not live. I just think both guys are going to be competitive in the stand up, but I just think Borjas is going to have more volume. I think if anyone has a weak chin here, it's going to be Sumudaerji. I think Borjas can't finish him. I think Borjas hits hard. So I'm going to lean Borjas by decision. I think Borjas wins, but I think he could also win by KO.
I like the case for Borjas. I think you make a strong case. Let's move up the card. We go to the men's heavyweight division as we have Sergey Pavlovich at -250 with the comeback on Waldo Cortes-Acosta at +200. Red Ray, how do you have it?
I think this is probably the second. I would say there's two fights here that I feel like if you are on one side, then I just don't understand you just can't be betting either of these guys. The first one was Michel Pereira. The second one is Sergey Pavlovich. I mean, if he was an underdog here, then yeah, I get it. But as a -200 favorite, the way he's fought, especially the last two fights out, but I guess the last three, looks like a completely different fighter. I mean, if this was before the Aspinall fight, then yeah, obviously you're on him. Then he got KO'd by Pavlovich. Then he basically just got beat up for 3 rounds by Alexander Volkov, which if he loses Alexander Volkov, that's fine, but he didn't even like attempt to fight Alexander Volkov. Only landed 46 significant strikes over 3 rounds. Volkov wasn't even. It wasn't. I thought I was on Volkov by sub there. I thought he could go to the ground. Didn't even attempt a takedown. So it was literally a stand-up fair 15 minutes, and Volkov just pieced him up. I mean, Pavlovich was 46 of 134 significant strikes. I mean, that's terrible. And last fight, he fought Jairzinho Rozenstruik and landed 25 significant strikes over 3 rounds. I know Bart mentioned he's through 145 total strikes, but this is like a Hazmatchmaev situation here where he got 2 takedowns. Obviously, Rozenstruik is a kickboxer, has no idea what he's doing on the ground, and just landed strikes in the bottom. But at no point was he close to finishing that fight. And now now it's 2 straight fights where he just doesn't want to stand up with anybody. He can't stand up. He's just not winning the stand-up battles. And now you're taking on Waldo Cortes, who, I mean, I never thought he was the greatest fighter in the world, but he just seems to keep on winning. Beat Sergey Spivak last time. Beat Ryan Spann the fight before. Actually showed a good game plan against Robelis of Spain. Wasn't a great fight, but he knew Despain's only path to victory was standing up. He took him down every single round. So I don't know. I just think this fight could be if it's just like a stand-up fight. I've never seen Waldo get rocked ever, get hurt on the feet. I guess if Pavlovich wants to take him down, but I think Cortez's takedown defense is pretty decent. I don't think it's amazing, but it's not terrible. I mean, he's 66% defense. Spivak was only able to take him down twice, and I'm not saying Spivak's doesn't have great takedowns, but he's only 2 of 6 there. Only got 2 minutes of control time. So I don't know if this stays standing for 15 minutes. I think it's a lot closer in the line. I think Cortes will definitely have the higher volume. You just got to hope that Pavlovich lands the bigger shots. But like I said, I've never seen Costa or Cortes get hurt. So I'm going to take Cortes for the upset here. I think he wins this one by decision.
All right, now that we've let the clown finish talking about his opinion on this fight, I'm definitely on Sergey Pavlovich here. I know he hasn't looked outstanding in his last 3 fights. I do think he's the much higher level guy. He's fought much better competition. He did look great in his last fight over Rozenstruik. Yeah, I mean, he did take him down and lay on him for a good portion of the fight. But he is the heavier hitter. He has 19 KO wins out of his 15 of his 19 wins have come by knockout. While the Cortes-Acosta, only 6 wins by KO, TKO out of his 14, one of which came over Ryan Spann, who's gotten finished by everybody. The other one came on the Contender Series. I think Cortes has had a lot of cupcake matchups in his career. I thought he lost to Spivak. I was pretty upset about that decision. I thought that was a pretty clear win for Spivak. The Volkov fight, I think was a tough fight for Pavlovich just because of the size and reach of Volkov. Those guys had trained together, so they're pretty familiar with each other. But there's no denying the run this guy was on before running into Aspinall. Had a tough matchup against Volkov, but then did put on a dominant win over Rozenstruik. I think he's the better fighter on the feet. I do think he's going to be able to get takedowns. Cortes-Acosta did show good takedown defense against Spivak, but Spivak doesn't impose the threat of power in the hands that Pavlovich does. I like Pavlovich a lot in this fight. I do like him by decision because we have seen Waldo Cortes-Acosta chin be very good. He has taken big strikes and just eaten them. I think Pavlovich wins if this fight stays standing. I think he is going to get some takedowns and get some control, land some pillow strikes on the ground. My prediction is going to be Pavlovich by decision at plus 300. Move up the card to the men's featherweight division as we have Brian Ortega at plus 240 with the comeback on the former bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling, the Funkmaster at minus 300. Start on the Ortega side. This guy's definitely on the back end of his career. Looked really bad against Diego Lopez. Was getting beat up against Yair Rodriguez before Yair completely gassed, and Ortega was able to submit him in the third round. Had an injury loss to Yair in the fight before that. Had a somewhat respectable performance against Volkanovski. That was almost 5 years ago. But he ultimately did lose that fight. I mean, he had moments, but for the most part, he was getting dominated in the fight. Aljamain Sterling, former multiple time defender of the belt, looked very good against Evloev. I believe that we both thought he won that fight. He dominated Calvin Kattar. Did get caught against Sean O'Malley. Thought that was a little bit of an early stoppage. Was able to outgrapple Henry Cejudo, outgrappled Peter Yan. I just was really unimpressed with Ortega in his last fight. He's been trending downward. I think Sterling is still trending upward. I think Sterling's a better striker. I think he's the better grappler. I think he has better cardio. This is a 5-round fight. I think this is the real main event. We'll get to the actual main event in just a second. But I like Sterling quite a bit here. I mean, he is minus 300 for a reason. Not really known for a ton of finishes in his career. I do think he's going to grind out a decision. Expect a heavy grappling match with Sterling controlling majority of the fight. I like him by decision at minus 115. Red Ray, how do you have it?
Yeah, I'm also on the Sterling side here. I think I think the 5 rounds are the only thing that's like kind of sketchy because I think his obviously his path to victory here is to grapple, and we know obviously it's difficult to grapple for 5 straight rounds. So, but I think he could still win moments on the. He's not like absolutely lost standing up. I mean, he's won a couple of fights just standing up. So I think he fights awkward, similar to Tim Elliott does, where they kind of just bounce around and throw random strikes all the time.
Don't do that
So,
to him.
I mean, they
Don't
fight like
compare
Tim
him to
Elliott.
Tim Elliott.
Tim
Don't
Elliott
do
is.
that.
I mean,
Think of
don't be
another
mad.
comparison.
Remember last week when I said that you should respect Tim Elliott and how good he is, and you told me how bad he was, and
You remember when you
look
said
at
Aaron
him.
Pico was a pound for pound best fighter on the planet?
I never would say that. Anyway, so we're back to this fight. Brian Ortega, like you said, last fight against Diego Lopez, absolutely was getting blitzed on the feet. Um, Fight before that, he got blitzed by Yair Rodriguez on the feet, and then was just got dominated by Volkanovski. But like you said, that was 4 years ago. At this point, it's not active. I know he wanted. I thought he said he wanted to go up to 155. So I don't know what changed. Maybe because he got beat up by Diego Lopez, you realize if he goes to 155, he's going to get beat up again by those guys because he's not a physically intimidating guy. Just so now he's back down, just cutting weight which he doesn't even want to cut weight. Who knows if he even makes weight this weekend? We know how much trouble he had against Diego Lopez. Why the first time around when Diego Lopez had to change weight 3 times, and then Dan Ige stepped in. So yeah, I don't know. He's just a boxer. Doesn't really do anything else. Obviously, he's good on the ground, but I think Sterling obviously never been submitted. He's not going to submit Sterling. I was kind of thinking that maybe he could cause maybe if Sterling took him down a couple of times, maybe he caused a couple of like close submission threats or something that would kind of keep Sterling away from grappling. But like Diego Lopez took him down last fight, didn't really threaten against Diego Lopez. Not that Diego Lopez is some scrub on the ground or anything, but I just think control-wise, Aljamain Sterling's on a different level than Diego Lopez is on the ground. Like you said, against Sterling, just what came off that fight against Movsar Evloev, I think the only reason he lost that decision was because he seemed to lose. He seemed to win the majority of the first half of every single round, and then he would kind of lose position at like the last portion of the round. So the last thing the judges saw was Evloev kind of winning the grappling situations. But yeah, I mean, I think he won the control time in almost every single round. They only landed 20 strikes combined, but he took down Evloev 6 times, 6 of 8 on takedowns. He the second round was definitely Evolev's round, but I think round 1 and 3 was Sterling's rounds, and somehow lost 29-28 on all three judges' scorecards. So, but yeah, I just think Sterling wins here, wins by decision. I don't think he's finishing. Maybe he gets I know Sterling's got good ground and pound. Maybe he gets a cut, maybe second, third round, and he gets a doctor stoppage at some point. So that's, I think, is a play. Maybe that's his only. I don't think he's going to sub Ortega. So yeah, Aljamain Sterling by decision.
All right, let's go to the official main event of the night as we have Johnny Walker at plus 280 with the comeback on the hometown favorite Zhang Mingyang at minus 370. Red Ray, how do you have it?
Well, we don't love really this matchup at all. Like you said, I thought the co-main event is definitely the main event of the actual fight night. This is kind of just because Mingyang Zhang's obviously from China. They're trying to push him, but Johnny Walker hasn't fought in a while. Last fight was against Volkan Ozdemir, got KO'd in the first round. That was over a year ago at this point. Fight before that, he got KO'd by Ankalaev. Fight before that was when they what is it, CNC? Oh, no contest, right? So yeah, I mean, he just hasn't been impressive for a while now. He just gets knocked out. He should be. I thought he heard he was going to move up to heavyweight. I think he's cutting a lot of weight to get down to 205. He's 6'6". He's obviously an athletic guy. Offensively, he's good. He's got a decent array of strikes on the feet. He can grapple, but I just think he's very chinny at this weight class because he's just so drained of water, and that's why I think if he goes up to heavyweight, he's going to be more athletic guy facing these fat slobs. So I think that's where he would actually thrive. I don't know why he's still at 205. Mingyang's been impressive so far. I was most impressive last fight against Anthony Smith. I thought everybody else he's fought so far has basically just been strikers and he wants to strike. So, but against Anthony Smith, obviously it was Anthony Smith's retirement fight, but Anthony Smith at least had tried to take him down a couple of times, and he showed good technique as far as stuffing takedowns and everything. And he landed 63 strikes in under a round, so he was beating the crap out of Anthony Smith, dominated him. I don't think he has ever been out of the first round in his career. So in the UFC hasn't really had anybody competitive either. Against the Ribeiro fight it's not. I mean, he knocked him out in 2 minutes, but Ribeiro was clipping him pretty hard, and it didn't even look like it phased him. So I think he's got a chin on him. I don't know if Walker's going to be able to hurt him on the feet. I think Walker's only path to victory here is to grapple and get him down and submit him. But I think maybe a play here might be the over 1.5. If Mingyang's not the fastest, I mean, he's got a lot of finishes in the first round, but he does kind of let people come to him at the beginning of the fight and then kind of just will take over from there. Maybe Walker can get him down early, maybe get some control time, maybe sneak over the 1.5 here. But I think it's most likely a Mingyang KO round 1 or 2 here.
Yep, very much aligned here. Johnny Walker has gotten knocked out bad in his last 2 fights. He's been knocked out 6 times in his career. Every time he looks like a cartoon character getting knocked out. This man fights straight up, keeps his chin up. He's 6'6". That overhand right is going to hit right on the chin, and I think he's going to go out cold quick. I think the crowd's going to be electric for the hometown Jean Mountain Tiger Mingyang. Has won all of his fights by first round finish. Walker has been finished in the first round by knockouts. Let's see. Obviously, 1, 2, 3, 4 times in his career. Think it's going to happen again. I do think Johnny Walker's best path is to try to take him down and submit him. I think first round submission is worth a sprinkle on the Walker side if you want to cover your money on Zhang Mingyang by first round KO. That will be my pick. That will be a play. First round KO is minus 125. So again, no official picks here. We are moving all of the official picks to the x.com/RNB fight picks. So please go on there and give us a follow. We will be, as always, recapping and giving out the picks as they happen. I don't know if Red Ray's going to get up at 3 a.m. I don't know if I'm going to get up at 3 a.m., but I'll probably be up around 5, most likely. We'll see if I wake up at 3 a.m. just organically. But great show. I've talked myself into being excited about this card. I do think we've got some good leans in this card. I do like that Zhao Long fight a lot. It seemed like we were pretty aligned there. Red Ray had some plays that he liked quite a bit. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I know there's no card next week. We will not be back until September 6th for the Paris, France card, as we have Nasruddin Imavov versus Caio Borrello in a potential #1 contender fight. Until then, again, all the picks are moving officially to the x.com account /RNB fight picks. So please give us a follow there. Looking forward to catching up with you guys in a couple of weeks and engaging with you on x.com /RNB fight picks. See you guys at 3 a.m. Good night.